Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to another lesson. In this lesson, we are going to learn about IELTS Writing Task 2. We are going to focus on how to write a direct question essay. In this lesson, we are going to learn how to write the introduction. In the previous lesson, I taught you how to write the main body and the conclusion of this particular question. So once you have watched this video on how to write the introduction, then I recommend that you watch the video on how to write the main body and the conclusion so that you have a complete essay. Remember, this is a Band 9 essay. Now, at the end of this lesson, I'm also going to give you some really helpful tips on how to get a Band 8 or a Band 9 in your writing task 2. I'm going to explain to you the assessment criteria. Now, let's get into our lesson. But before we do that, have you subscribed to this channel? If you haven't subscribed, then please subscribe to the channel and I promise you will not regret it. This is because I upload really helpful videos on IELTS writing and IELTS speaking. So if you're interested on lessons on IELTS speaking, then have a look at my playlists and you will find a lot of videos on IELTS speaking part 1, part 2 and part 3. I also upload videos on grammar. So if you're looking for videos on the 3 or all the tenses in English, then have a look at my playlist on grammar. I also have a lot of videos on vocabulary. If you want to know how to describe people, how to talk about, words to describe the weather, words to describe children, how to describe your house, I have a lot of videos about that. So have a look at my playlist on vocabulary. But I also have a playlist on how to speak English in different situations. For example, when you go to the dentist, or when you go to the optician, or when you go shopping for clothes. I have plenty of videos on how to speak English in different situations. For example, how to talk to someone you have just met in English, what to tell them and what to ask them. See, that is why you need to subscribe to this channel, and I guarantee you your level of English is going to improve very fast, especially if you look at the other videos that I have. Now let's get into our lesson. IELTS Writing Task 2. The first thing that you have to remember is that it should be written in 250 words. The complete essay should be 250 words. But if you want to get a Band 8 and a Band 9, you should be writing 300 words plus. Okay? 300 words or slightly more. The other thing that is important to remember is that you should write your essay in 40 minutes. You've only got 40 minutes to write your essay. The next tip, you should write your essay in 4 paragraphs, not more. The introduction, 2 main body paragraphs, and the conclusion. Here you have the introduction. In the previous video, you have the 2 main body paragraphs and the conclusion. The other thing that I would like to point out is that when it comes to IELTS Writing Task 2, it is the same for the general training students and the academic students. You get exactly the same type of essay. It is written in the same way and it is marked in the same way. The only difference is that for the general training students, the questions and the topics are usually easier. Now, this question is for both academic and general training students. So how do you write the introduction? The first thing that you have to do is ensure that you understand the question. Our question is, it is often said, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Do you think people should adapt and accept the culture of the country they visit? Do you think it is possible to learn a culture without learning the language? So what we have here is a statement which is in the form of a proverb. It is often said, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. That is an English proverb that we have. So in your background statement, you are expected to explain what that proverb means. The reason being, in the background statement, you're supposed to paraphrase IELTS statement, but don't change the original meaning. To paraphrase means you write it in your own words, but ensure that you do not change the original meaning. So when it comes to the introduction, the examiner is going to be marking your background statement and your thesis statement. In your background statement, all you have to do is paraphrase IELTS statement. But remember, do not change the original meaning. Now, how do you do that? Let us begin writing the background statement. The first part of it is often said. So we have to paraphrase that. We have to rewrite that part in different words. So it is, that remains the same. Often we replace that with repeatedly, because often and repeatedly are synonyms. It is often, it is repeatedly. Now, in this case, we're going to replace the word said with alleged. It is often said. It is repeatedly alleged. Okay? It is often said, it is repeatedly alleged that. It is often said, it is repeatedly alleged that. It is repeatedly alleged that, or it is repeatedly alleged that. After that, we get into the proverb. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. So, you have to explain what that proverb means. It is repeatedly alleged that it is advisable to follow the conventions of the area in which you're residing or visiting. So, it is advisable to follow the conventions. The conventions are the rules and the traditions, the norms and the values. It is advisable, you are advised to follow the conventions, that is the norms and the values of the area in which you are residing. Residing is a band 9 word that simply means live. The area in which you are living, the area in which you are residing or visiting. So the second part of our background statement explains what the proverb means. It is advisable to follow the conventions or the rules, the norms and the values of the area in which you're residing or visiting. Okay? When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Okay? So, when you visit a place, when you visit a country, it is advisable to follow the conventions, that is the rules, the norms and the values and the traditions of the area where you visit. If you visit a new country, if you immigrate to live in another country, it is advisable that while you're there, you should follow the conventions of that country. That is, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. When you visit a new country, it is advisable that you follow the conventions of that country that you're visiting. So that is what you should write in your background statement for this question. You begin by rewriting the first part of the statement, and that is, it is often said that, and all you have to do is replace those words with synonyms. In our case, it remained the same, is remained the same, often was replaced by repeatedly, and said was replaced by alleged. After that, you need to explain the proverb in your own words. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. It is advisable to follow the conventions of the area in which you are residing or visiting. So that is the background statement. The next thing that you have to do, and you notice that the background statement is just one sentence. I always encourage my students, you have 40 minutes to write task 2. Write just one sentence for your background statement. That is enough, because all you have to do is paraphrase IELTS statement. And in most cases, IELTS statement is just one sentence. Remember, do not copy IELTS statement. IELTS will not accept it as your own. It does not belong to you. It belongs to IELTS. You will not score any marks if you simply copy IELTS statement as your background statement. Instead, paraphrase IELTS statement, but remember to retain or to keep the original meaning. Now let's move on to the thesis statement. Once you have written your background statement, then you want to write your thesis statement. What should you write in your thesis statement? In your thesis statement, you're supposed to express your opinion on both questions. Now, in the question, we have 2 questions. The first one is, do you think people should adapt and accept the culture of the country they visit? Do you think? So that's asking for your opinion. In your opinion, do you think that when people visit a country, they should follow the culture of the country they're visiting? Do you think that they should try to adjust and accept the culture? That is the first question. So, in your thesis statement, you're expected to answer that question. And then we have the second question. Do you think it is possible to learn a culture without learning the language? Do you think it is possible to learn a culture without learning the language? Now, in that second question, what you're being asked is, now, for you to learn a culture, for you to understand a culture, do you need to learn the language of the natives? For example, when you visit a new country, let's say, for example, you immigrate to go and live in a country like Denmark. Now, for you to understand their culture, do you need to learn Danish? Do you need to learn the language? Or do you think it's possible for you to understand their culture without learning their native language? That's what the question is asking you. So in your thesis statement, we are going to answer both questions. But before we do that, you have to begin your thesis statement with the phrase "in my opinion," because as you can see, both questions begin with "do you think?" So they're asking for your opinion. So always begin with "in my opinion," comma, and now we are going to answer the first question. Should people adapt and accept the culture of the country they visit? And this is my answer. People have an obligation. People have an obligation. An obligation is a responsibility. In other words, people should. I have simply used the word obligation to replace the word should. So people have an obligation. So people should. People have an obligation to integrate. Integrate is another word that means adapt and accept. People have an obligation to integrate into the culture of the host country. Now, the host country is the country that they visit, or the country where they have immigrated to live in. That is your host country. When you move from your country to another country, that other country is your host country. So people have an obligation to integrate, that is to adapt and accept, to integrate into the culture of the host country. So that is my answer to the first question. Do you think people should adapt and accept the culture of the country they visit? Yes, people have an obligation to integrate into the culture of the host country. And now I'm going to answer the second part of the question. The second question is, do you think it is possible to learn a culture without learning of the language? Do you think it is possible to learn a culture without learning of the language? And my answer to that is, people should make a point of learning the native language to facilitate a comprehensive understanding of their traditions and heritage. People should make a point. So, make a point is an expression in English that means ensure. You should ensure that. You should make a point of, learning the native language. So the native language is the language that is spoken in the country, in the country that you go to live in or to visit. It is the language that is spoken by people in the host country. So, and after that, I give the reasons as to why I believe that you need to learn the native language, and that is to facilitate. Facilitate means to make it possible. Remember, this is a Band 9 essay, so I am going to use vocabulary that is advanced. So facilitate means to make it possible, to enable, to make it possible. Okay, so it is important that people make a point of learning the native language to facilitate, to make it possible, to facilitate a comprehensive. Comprehensive means complete, total understanding, a comprehensive understanding, a total understanding, full understanding. Comprehensive means total, complete, understanding of their traditions and their heritage. So my answer to the second question is that people should make a point of learning the native language to facilitate a comprehensive understanding of their traditions and heritage. Now, the traditions here simply means culture, Traditions and heritage simply means culture, their traditional practices and heritage, that is their history, So, what I have done in my thesis statement, I started the thesis statement with "in my opinion" because I'm going to be expressing my opinion in regards to the two questions. Do you think people should adapt and accept the culture of the country they visit? And the second question, do you think it is possible to learn a culture without learning of the language? So because I'm going to be expressing my opinion on those two questions, I begin with the linking word, in my opinion, and then I have a comma. And then after that, I answer the first question. People have an obligation to integrate into the culture of the host country. And then after that, I'm going to answer the second question. And to do that, first of all, I use the linking word and, okay? To show that I'm about to move on to the next question. And make a point, because the question was asking, do you think it is possible to learn a culture without learning of the language? So, people have an obligation to integrate into the culture of the host country and make a point of learning the native language to facilitate, to make it possible, to facilitate a comprehensive, that comprehensive means complete understanding of their traditions and heritage. So my second answer is that it is extremely important. People should ensure that when they visit a new country or when they move to live there, they learn the native language, because that will make it possible. That is going to facilitate that they understand their traditions and heritage completely, that they understand their culture. Remember, traditions and heritage simply means culture. Okay? So, when it comes to the direct question essay, and you have to write your introduction. Remember to have your background statement. And all you have to do, as I said in your background statement, is paraphrase IELTS statement. And if you have a proverb, then explain what the proverb means, like I did in my background statement. And then once you have done that in your thesis statement, simply give IELTS your answers to the two questions that they have in the question. And this brings me to the next section. As I promised, I'm going to explain to you exactly how you should score a band 8 or a band 9. Now, when it comes to the marking criteria for IELTS Writing Task 2, you are marked on task response, coherence and cohesion, vocabulary, and grammar. For you to score a band 8 or above for your task response, you have to ensure that you respond to all parts of the question. All issues in the essay question in the question should be well answered, okay? And your ideas should be very relevant and well developed and supported, okay? So for you to score a band 8 or a band 9, ensure that you read the question very carefully and answer all the parts of the question. Make sure you have also that you develop your ideas. Ideas should be well developed and well supported, okay? Now, the other thing is, the other assessment criteria is coherence and cohesion. And if you want to score a band 8 or a band 9, then you have to ensure that your information and ideas are organized logically, okay? That is, paragraphing should be sufficient and appropriate. Remember, I said you should have 4 paragraphs, your introduction, your 2 main body paragraphs, and your conclusion, okay? That is a logical organization of your essay. And make sure that you use linking words, okay? Linking words, like for example, in the thesis statement, I started with "in my opinion." In my main body paragraph and conclusion, I also used linking words. So have a look at that essay so that you can see how I used linking words for cohesion, okay? Then the other assessment criteria is lexical resource, okay? And when it comes to lexical resource, what the examiner is looking for is your vocabulary, okay? Your spellings, Okay, so you're expected to use a wide range of vocabulary, okay, if you're going to be getting a band 8 or band 9. But remember, you have to use the words correctly. If you don't use them correctly, then that will mean that your band will go down, okay? So for band 8, band 9, you need to use a wide range of advanced vocabulary, okay? Make sure that you don't have errors in spellings or word formation, okay? Now, the other thing or incorrect use of words, okay? And then finally, the last assessment criteria is grammatical range and accuracy. So if you want to score a band 8 or a band 9, make sure that you use a wide range of complex sentences, okay? And most of your sentences should not have any errors. So you should use a wide range of complex sentences. If you don't know what complex sentences are, they are sentences that have more than 3 verbs. And most often, they have 2 or 3 or more linking words. Look at the essay on how to write the main body and the conclusion, and you will see how I have used the complex sentences. But also, if you're not familiar with them, I actually have a video on the 3 types of sentences in English, how to write them, how to join them together. Okay, so you can look at that video as well. The video is titled The 3 Sentences or the 3 Types of Sentences in English. So that is how you score a band 8 or a band 9, okay? You make sure that you score very high marks for your task response by responding to all the parts of the questions, making sure that your coherence and cohesion is very good through the use of your paragraphs and the use of linking words, and ensuring that your vocabulary is also quite good by using advanced vocabulary and using the words correctly. And finally, your grammar. Make sure that your tenses are correct. Make sure that you use your spellings correctly, okay? And use a wide variety of complex sentences, but also ensure that you use them correctly, okay? You should have good control of your grammar, your tenses, and once you do that, you should score a good band 8 or a band 9. Now, this brings me to the last part of our lesson, where I'm going to just give you a short recap of our lesson for today. In this lesson, we are trying to learn how to write the introduction, and we saw that the examiner in the introduction is looking for your background statement and your thesis statement. In your background statement, all you have to do is paraphrase IELTS statement. Remember, if you have a proverb, to explain what the proverb means in your own words. And then in your thesis statement, ensure that you provide the examiner with answers to the 2 questions and begin the paragraph with, in my opinion. And as you can see here, I have 2 sentences. One sentence for the background statement and another sentence for the thesis statement. Now, you don't have to do that. Remember, this is a band 9 essay. That's why my thesis statement is one complex sentence, okay? You can answer those 2 questions separately if you wish to do that. Now, if you found this lesson helpful, then please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more videos. I will be uploading another video on IELTS writing. Also, I will be uploading more videos on IELTS speaking, part 1, part 2, and part 3. So subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and turn your notification button on. And do not forget to share this video on all your social media platforms. For example, on WhatsApp, on Facebook, and wherever else. Just ensure that you share the video, because sharing is caring. Now, thank you very much, and don't forget to leave me a comment in the comment section. I really appreciate, I enjoy reading your comments. They give me a lot of encouragement, okay? So thank you very much and see you in our next lesson. Bye bye.